Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
And we are back with your Survivor News covering Survivor Season 45, Episode 7. It's a privilege and an honor to welcome back to the podcast Big Jackery. You might know him from Season 2 of The Circle, or you might know him from Season 2 of Oz's Lip Sync Battle, because you better get to his Instagram, because Baby Boy was doing his thing. I said, is that Drizzy Drake, or is that Jackery? Jackery, welcome back to the podcast.
How you feel? How you feel? How you feel?
Hey, tell me how you feel. What's the motto?
I feel way better.
You look alive, Jack.
It's so good to be back. Last week, as I'm sure many of you noticed, I was down horrendous, and I feel
bad.
Almost 100%. And so, man, I'm just so excited to be back with you guys at near full force, ready to talk about a great episode.
Yeah, we were pre-podding a little bit, and I told Jack that he didn't look so. Jack, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry for telling you that you didn't look so good last week. You look great.
No, last week I did not look good.
Let's real quick, Jack. Who out of the podcast checked up on you after you looked like death?
We had Brice, and I got to give a big shout out to Brice. I refused, but he sent me, $25 on Apple Pay. He said, go get you a nice soup at Panera. And, he came through. I went and got some Panera, and honestly started feeling better. I was feeling good.
May I rebut this? Brice, you did that. You're a great friend. Now, Jack, I didn't want to have to tell you this, but I called my friend named Sari Fields yesterday, knowing that she would see you last night. And I was like, yo, when you see Jack, you got to pull up on him.
Okay.
Was there any interaction between you and Sari?
Before you answer that, Jack, can I rebut the rebut?
Yeah, I can't even tell if Wendell's being serious or not.
Doing the butt. Doing the butt. Doing the butt.
Ain't nothing wrong.
If
you want to do the butt all night
long. Doing the butt.
And now he wants to start coughing.
Right. So wait, we got a lot to get through today. But so yes or no only in this response, Jack, is what Wendell said true? Did Sari say something to you last night?
I was fortunate.
Okay, yes, that's it. All right. Now let me ask you this. Whose name did she mention first when she said tell us the story.
Yes, well, so I don't know exactly the name order, but I was fortunate enough to attend the Big Brother finale last night, hosted by the great Azza. We were out at one of the bars in WeHo, but then we went to the legendary Todrick Hall's crib for the after party. When that's where the jury and the finalists pulled up. Saw, shout out to the homie Jared. Saw Jared on the stairs. He was with his mom, Sari, who was coming out the jury house. And I went and, showed Jared some love. And then Sari was like, I was like, oh, hey, Sari. And she said, oh, I know you. You're one of Brice and Wen's people. But it might not have been that. It might not have been that. I don't know. And I was like, Sari, thank you. It's great to see you.
Wait, did you just say? Sari, thank you so much. Praise the Lord, it's Sari. I just want to thank you so much. I don't know if baby Jesus is your brother or your dad. But
I'm not religious, but I saw Sari and I was like,
okay. We love it. All right.
I didn't call Sari. I didn't call her.
Yeah, she was too busy for your ass.
Well, right. You know what? Now I'm gonna show you the text. It wasn't a call.
I'm playing. But I figured coming out the house right then, she was probably calling the family.
Yes, we did have a family call yesterday. But now that we've got Jack, let's welcome back to the pod. He is one half of BWP. You might know him from Ghost Island. You might know him from Beach Cabana Royale. You might know him from Instagram because he's building a hotel. And we got to see the framework. Let's welcome to the podcast, a man that has very smelly flip-flops when Big DZ.
Listen here.
Now, answer this question. Do you got smelly flip-flops that's sitting outside of your garage? And when I got out your car the other day, I said, what is that smell? What is that?
Bryce.
I went to the gym and I was walking around the gym and I was like, these guys in here smell. And then when it was like, I then went to pick up my flip-flops and I realized it was me.
Listen here. I'm tired of you throwing dirt on my name, Brice Isaiah. I made the
Smell on
mistake
your
of wearing
shoes.
flip-flops in the gym shower, took them out, put them in a plastic bag, put that plastic bag in my backpack, and I left it there for maybe 2 days accidentally. It was marinating for 2 days.
That's a mistake. You gotta wear the flops in the gym shower.
I did.
Yeah.
You don't go raw in the gym shower?
Whoa.
No, no.
What gym are you going to, Brice?
Brice, it ain't that kind of gym.
Who's Jim?
Equinox.
Long story short, they were in the bag, in my bag too long. So now, and they're good flip-flops, Jack. They're like really good soft ones. So
What brand are we talking?
what do I do?
I mean, look, you gotta have your pair, outdoor flops. Maybe you could get some
Deodorizer.
deodorizer, put them on, let them simmer, and then you just turn them into a pair of outdoor flops, maybe some gym shower flops, but
No.
you don't want to bring those in the house.
My next question. Do I let them soak in like a tub of soapy water?
No, you would put baking soda all over them.
Okay.
I don't
All
think
right.
washing them in some soapy water would be bad though.
Okay.
But if the problem is they don't dry, listen, we're not getting
It's
into
the
when
moisture.
DZ's
Yeah.
smelly.
When it comes to smelly shoes,
Well,
you're
Jack
actually wrong.
knows. Jack
I'm
knows
not-
because I was cleaning Jack's house one time because that's how I show people love. And I said, Jack, what you? I was straight up his shoes. He's like, Brice, no, put them outside the door. And if you've ever been to Jack's house, he got a whole little section of
Yeah.
his shoes
I
outside.
keep the shoes outside.
Do you
Okay?
go raw in the shoes?
What? No, I always wear socks with my shoes.
Then
I'm just a permanent athlete, and so my look, for better or for worse, my feet get sweaty, and I can acknowledge that the smell is not.
So wait, so
it's not-
are you saying that you be ballin'? We fly high, no lie, you know it.
Ballin'.
We are no lie, we rollin'.
Ladies.
Jackery,
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Jackery,
Balling is a state of mind.
Big Jack.
I'm gonna have to go Ballin' by Eazy-E.
Oh, rest in peace.
R.I.P. to the legend.
Nah.
They're different eras, Jack.
I'm in the post 2000s era.
No,
Everything before it's like
It's
BC
2000.
AD.
that's like 2010, Jack.
2006.
Oh,
All right. Okay, listen.
on a
Enough
different-
about this. We got a lot to get through. But listen, I
Good
figured
luck.
last week we brought the Queen Heidi, and Heidi brought the energy while we was laying Jack to rest.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. But this week we figure let's bring a friend to the pod. You know he listens to every pod. You know he got a take on a take on a take on a take, and you know he says threat levels are important. Let's welcome to the podcast James Jones from Survivor Season 43.
I feel bad for that boy.
Yo, what's going on, guys? What's going on, guys?
Oh, hey,
What's up,
James?
Jamesy?
I don't know if I want that name proliferating.
Jamesy?
My bad. My bad.
Yeah, I don't think that's
You prefer JJ or Jamesy?
yeah, not Jamesy, not at all.
Godfather James.
James, JJ, Jay, Jamesy.
Don't
know,
say that don't say that, James, because I will change your name in my phone so quickly.
Man, how
Oh,
are we
all
gonna
name-
wait 9 minutes and then disrespect the man's name?
It's all good. It's
James,
all good.
Jamesy, I got you.
Yo, see,
Don't let him do that.
no.
Don't let him do that.
But this is a lesson to everybody. when something just never like you just don't say anything and no one remembers it. When you say something, now it becomes a focal point.
I got it. Now thank you, James, because knowledge is power. So
Yeah.
Big James.
That's crazy.
All right. Well, I mean,
James,
What I
how
will
you-
say, James, what I will say though, it's good when you address when something happens, you address it right then and there. That is good because now it's like, oh, it's nipped at the bud. Now I might have been calling you Jamesy for a little while, but maybe not publicly. But now that it's out there on a pod,
It's different in private, but now it's public. So now the floodgates may open. Now I have to tell a lot of people not to call me Jamesy, and that's going to be rather annoying.
well, we will not call you Jamesy if you can provide us with another private nickname.
JJ.
Okay. Well, listen, we'll keep it moving. We're excited to get into this super amazing episode. Before we get into that, listen, y'all know Philly, we are coming home November 22nd. The Fringe Bar, the vibes are going to be immaculate. Okay, we're going to be watching Survivor on a movie theater style seating and movie theater, and you can go between the movie theater and the bar, and so it's going to be an amazing time. And then after that, we are headed to New Orleans,
baby, the NO, baby.
I need to get me not a I was going to say an empanada. No, I need to get me a because listen, I need to go to New Orleans because listen, I have to try those because I already been gay, so I need to try me a been gay.
Oh, what?
Oh man,
Yay.
That's not what it's called.
Wait, what is it called?
PL, please do something about this.
I have a feeling the Brictionary is going to get a lot of new entries while you're in New Orleans.
I'm adding that right now.
So wait, it's Ben Gay?
Beignet.
No.
Oh, beignet.
It's New Orleans, not New Orleans.
I said Nola.
No, that's fine.
That was for Wendy's. And we will be headed to LA December 20th for the finale. But listen, when DZ and I said we're going to be popping up, so stay tuned because we will have some new pop-up information for you. Okay, I heard something got canceled, and you know something get canceled. Bryce and Wendell gonna step up and make sure it stay alive.
So we're gonna have to pop up and pop out. You know what I'm saying?
Even the people. I heard word you guys might throw something at my house.
You got that courtyard, Jack. Don't say that because
we might throw a projector up on the side of the house.
I would love it. Well, listen, we potted 12 minutes in. First of all, can we all just give a round of applause because Jack is the first person ever to literally die on a podcast and be resurrected. So
it's like a little shot in the dark.
Hallelujah.
I'm back.
Welcome back. Jackery, please take the reins.
Yeah. So episode 7, we just got back from Caleb setting a record, nullifying what he believes to be 12 votes, but it's actually 11 because we have the baby boy Austin sacrificing his vote in order to extend his idol into a full power idol. I mean, what a sweet situation for Austin. He's on the group that's already safe. It's going to be a unanimous vote against someone that he's down to vote out. So he's really able to sacrifice his vote with no risk against him. So wisely is able to get that full powered idol. But you know, Caleb's counting his lucky stars at this point. But what do you guys think about back on the beach? How Caleb handles this whole situation and just sort of the aftershock of what went down at what was a historic tribal.
What I thought was the most interesting, because specifically with this season, we have seen Sean come back and be like, hey guys, I'm glad we're good. You know, we've seen Kendra come back and be like, we're good. And we've always gotten these confessionals where people are like, they're being too nice. We don't trust it. However, Caleb comes back after giving his inaugural speech and no one dots an I. So I just thought that was so interesting, like the perception that, like, you know, he's like, oh no, we all good. My shot in the dark work. We good. What's up, brother man? Hey, Bruce. Like, you know, it was all, I just thought it was so interesting. But I feel like it's because would you expect Caleb to go off? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like he's just so perfect that you wouldn't. But that for me was something that I noticed very early on.
I feel like with the gameplay, everybody knows you can't get upset when the vote doesn't go your way. But also with the fact that everybody was unanimous vote, there's no one to really direct anything at. It's kind of just like you took a shot. I mean, I'm here, and we can try to play or not try to play and try to find those cracks. But I mean, that has to. I think it's also probably a freeing feeling. Also, know that everybody put your name down, so you really don't owe anybody anything in the game. So it could be a wake up call as well.
Yeah.
I didn't really I didn't really notice too much about Caleb, but I did notice the Bruce Katora
Yeah.
thing. He likes to ask her questions in front of the public.
I mean, that's a good tactic, though. I mean, at the end of the day, you want I feel like that's something that's missing in the new age, where you really are applying pressure to people to see how they hold up. I think Jake was talking about that later in the episode, but like, oh, we're going to scramble. We have an organized scramble. Like, it is very very nice out there. So I think sometimes switching it up and being direct can throw people off their game, and they may slip up because they're not thinking about something coming that way. So I think I like that.
I think I like it for the show. I think I like it for the entertainment value. And Bruce knows exactly what he's doing too. That's the thing. It's not like he didn't think that I'm asking this in front of these people for this, because he goes in a confessional and essentially says that. So he knows what he's doing. I'd say if that is part of your strategy, kudos, Bruce. You're doing it effectively. But man, but Katora's good at receiving that stuff. And then she like, when they were in, I guess, a more intimate setting, maybe all bellow, she's like, hey, when we have these questions, can we just, talk about it in front of the people that we know, or something like that? So,
I mean, just to recap kind of all the Bruce situation that while we dive into it, for those who don't remember, first we have Bruce calling out Katora about being on the fence about voting for Caleb. He does this in front of a group of kind of like random people, sort of, as he admits, sort of to apply some pressure to her and make her look like maybe she's defecting from the group. We also see Kelly, and this bothers Kendra as well. We see Kelly start to get annoyed with Bruce, but she has more of a close bond with Bruce, and so she's less incentivized to let him go potentially. This stems over to, Caleb's trying to mend fences with Bruce, partly to Jake. Jake still is a very big Caleb fan, wants to work with Caleb, encourages him to go try to bridge that gap with Bruce. Doesn't work super well, and this kind of farther extends Kelly's hesitancy with Bruce, but she kind of correctly acknowledges that she's his number one ally. He could be someone good to keep around. So, like we've been talking about, Bruce is kind of messing up his position in the game, but he does still have a couple people like a Jake and Kelly that want him to work things out, especially with a Caleb.
I think after seeing this whole episode, and I will get deeper into it later, but I have a different perspective on Bruce this episode. Like, I really feel like, again, like, I feel like Bruce has the gimmick of Bruce, hey, but I really do think that there is a driving force behind it. And seeing this episode, right, when he went to Kelly and Kelly was like, hey, chill out on those questions, he was able to default back to that Bruce and be like, hey, you know me, you know your Uncle Bruce, I shoot it straight, I'm gonna ask the questions, right? And it's kind of like, of course, Kelly was kind of over it, but it worked, right? It was able to be received, and it wasn't like him being like, I don't like her, I gotta get her out of here, I'm gonna throw her under the bus. Like, and I was just like, oh, okay, Bruce, we kind of sort of see you. I think my level of Bruce will go out earlier in the merge is really changing a little bit, because I have more thoughts, but I'll get to it when we get to my end-all thought at Tribal.
Sure, but and I'm glad you brought this up because I forgot to mention that Kelly did have that conversation with Bruce. And while I do think I acknowledge the fact that he does Bruce it up and kind of get it to seem not so serious, we can tell it still really bothers Kelly that she's going to him with some constructive feedback, and he's kind of brushing it aside. Like if you're a basketball coach and one of your players has been ball hogging, and you're like, hey, in order for us to win, we need you to dish the rock a little bit, and your player's like, nah, I'm gonna keep shooting, coach. You're gonna be like, well, I'm gonna have to cut you. Like,
But would you cut him if he makes 10 threes in a row and you win the game?
I don't know if Bruce has hit the rim yet this game though. That's the problem.
Well,
I mean, whoa,
I think he at tribal, the last tribal, I think he did I think he did a and
wait,
one.
Wait, can we all right, let's just take a step back.
Okay.
Bruce changed the vote. He got Caleb 11 votes. Now he didn't organize having a backup plan. That's maybe the fault of, but they haven't been a real tribal. So like, we haven't been a real tribal. It's a different feeling. But the vote was one way, and he did switch the vote, so we had some agency on the beach.
I think
like Uncle Bruce aside,
giving him a little too much credit in terms of how in switching the vote. I mean, I think he was a factor in switching the vote, but to say that it was all Bruce, I disagree.
I mean, he wasn't Drew.
Also, he was safe. He was safe that vote, which I think makes it a lot easier to kind of force your narrative a little bit.
But he didn't. He laid it out to Drew. He gave Drew the alley-oop, and Drew said, "Oh, we can get Caleb." Bam.
Yeah,
and that's great Survivor gameplay, where no blood is really on your head because everybody wants it.
I'm a little bit with Jack, right? I don't think that it was all Bruce, but I definitely think Bruce pushed the snowball in order for the effect to happen.
So somewhat, but also if we want to talk about that, like, was that even the best move for Bruce? Right? Like when all of his allies want to work with Caleb, he's getting scared about Caleb going off and having all these conversations. But maybe it's best for Bruce in the long run of his game if he could have roped in a Caleb and had a kind of Caleb come in with Bello. I think that puts them in a lot better position. Now Bruce finds himself in a spot where some of the Bello members are like, do we stick with Caleb or do we stick with Bruce? When you could have had a collective team that you're not in any danger.
One thing before James has something burning, but I just wanted to say what I've noticed this season is you got quite a few players that find one or two people that they want out, and they are so dead set on those players. It's happened a few times in this game, and we'll get back to that. But James, what you got?
No, I feel like we have to Bello, Reba, that's just kind of groups. They're not like strong alliances. They didn't really go to tribal, have to go through those wars. So they're tight, but they're not really tight. Sifu was on this time. They sacrificed Jay Maya. They wanted to throw Bruce under the bus. There are cracks there. The illusion that there's a Bello, Reba, I do not think that's there. I think people are waiting for the ability to pounce on openings. And Bruce provided an opening that got pounced on. People are just being opportunistic.
But there is a Reba 4. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Have they all voted? Have they been in a real tribal council together? All together? No. I don't. Until you've been all on the same beach voting with the pressure on, that doesn't count. So until Austin, Drew, D, Julie are all on the same tribe, all at risk, and they all have to go to vote. I mean, for instance, next week is at 10. If Drew uses his power and leaves tribal council, they lose a vote. They're the Reba 3. I mean, they haven't actually solidified trust.
I kind of see what you're saying, but there definitely is some factor of Bello Reba. Like, we've seen Drew have confessionals that he's gearing up for this impending Bello Reba conflict. I think this episode we saw Jake talking about how important it is to have a Lulu number in this potential conflict. I agree that things are more flexible and people are looking at cracks. And I actually like the fact that kind of Bello and Reba are both taking opportunities to kind of cannibalize themselves a little bit in order to maintain their core without looking at like such a strong collective entity, like taking out a Jay Meyer or Sifu, for example. But with all that being said, it's like you mentioned people being ready to pounce at the cracks. If you're a Bruce and you're creating those cracks within your own group, sure, you might be able to get your target out, but now you're sort of seen as an opposition for some people where you're going to be at the top of the pecking order. I mean, we see Kelly say this episode that he's a great shield because now there's a lot of artillery aimed his way. When I think if he was able to have a good relationship with a Caleb and a Katora, which purely is on his social game to improve that relationship, he could actually be in a great spot in the game. And right now, I think he's in a really shaky spot.
I'm gonna move off this. Only thing about like threat level. Here's the deal: Bruce is going to be a threat regardless of what he says or does. Like,
Right.
there's nothing he's going to be able to do to lower his threat level. So, like, but the perception is that he is a threat to win the game from a physical standpoint. Strategically, he's not like a slouch. Socially, he may not have the best people skills, but you see Bruce, you see someone that can win Survivor if you're a Survivor out there looking at candidates.
Question. Yeah, and we get into this in the episode where people say that he's this big threat, and Bruce is a friend of the show. Shout out to our boy Bruce. Brucey. So let's go. But my question is, they see it on the island, I guess, but if he's sitting at the end and kind of souring some relationships, does he get the votes to win?
I think that there is a world that he absolutely could. One, he needs to bring up his past. Two, he can, if he is able to distinguish between Brucey and Bruce and lay out what he did 1,000%. Like, and again, this leads me back to my point, and I don't want to jump ahead. Sorry, Jack, but I feel like at the end, when we were at Tribal and I was looking at Bruce sit in the middle and looking how everyone was talking, I said, he's in a power position, right? And for me, I was like, how the hell is crazy Uncle Bruce in his power position? I'm just saying, like, I feel like he is still in the know of who he needs to be in the know of.
That's what I'm saying.
No, but but I'm just saying I'm saying, like, if this was any other Survivor player, right, I would be agreeing with you. But giving the roller coaster that we have seen Bruce on since day one, the fact that he is able to still yield this power and they listen or follow suit.
He's not like. But again, I want to reiterate what Wendell said because I love me some Bruce, but just looking at the game and the perception of the players in the game of Bruce, he's in like one of the worst positions in the game. We see like Kelly,
like ability wise,
and it's like social capital. I mean, we see his own closest allies say, I'm getting fed up with him. Do I cut him or do I keep him as a shield because he's someone I can beat or he's someone that people are going to vote out because they're bothered by him?
Did they not say that about Gabler?
What power is he wielding? Like,
my opinion has changed. So go ahead, James.
They said the same thing about Gabler. I'm sorry. I mean, I feel like we look at position and it's kind of like short term and long term. Like when certain type of threats, you have a threat that like looks like they can win. Caleb is a threat that looks like he can win Survivor. So like he looks like he can win Survivor. Emily doesn't look like she can win Survivor. And that initial threat level is what you see. And that's what you see when you start the game, when you're traveling to the game. So that's the threat level you can't turn down. Seeing Bruce on television, knowing Jeff's talking about Bruce, this great guy, and we have to get him back on the show and all this other stuff, that's enough threats right there. But so now when you're in a power position, the second you kind of let go of that, you have to keep your foot on the gas once you've been identified that way. You take your foot off the gas, that's when you get got. You have to keep that pressure going.
To Jack's point, though, like, I don't think that, like, what I'm saying is the position that he's in, I think that it is surprising to me that he is, like, still held in this regard that people look to him and, like, they are still keeping him. Like, for me, that is still a point of power.
Well, that's it. I feel like it's different to say that people are keeping you. Like, that's
but not keeping you, but still willing to work with you. Still, he has a good enough relationship with Kelly that she's going to listen to him and come to him. He's got Jake doing his bidding. I just feel like, for me, I'm just shocked that they haven't turned on him yet. he played the idol correctly. He didn't use it, and he still got that. That can guarantee him another thing. Like
Well,
I'm just
I
saying,
think
like
the idol might be the reason he didn't go home because this was the first tribal the whole game that he was vulnerable. So it's not like he's maneuvered a bunch of tribals before this.
well,
I'm gonna just step in for this. So this reminds me of a very painful moment in my history, right? When your allies you've been working with come to your number one and say, we need to get this guy out, right? Now he's a super big threat. That ally can then do one thing. They can let you know you could try to make something happen. And what did Kelly do? Kelly protected Bruce. So that's social capital 101 right there. So like when you have someone that's willing to come to you and you're that much of an asset to their game, that's game capital. Sometimes game capital is better than social capital, depending on the players you're playing with. And Bruce's game capital is I'm a shield. You know where I stand. If you know I'm not messing with you, I'm not messing with you. And if you're looking for someone to work with, you know Bruce has a target. He's voting that way. That's a number that I can work with from a logical standpoint, work against. And that's sometimes all you need is a driving force to get a vote going.
So Brice and James, I was kind of my school of thought was a little different at first. And I'm like, man, as much as I love Bruce, because we're getting so much of this Uncle Bruce content, I almost thought that if he was at the end, he would kind of be like almost like a goat. But with what you said and me just thinking about it, you are a returnee player. There was a threat from day one on you. You sparked what got Caleb Obama off of the show. If you get to the end, you might have a speech. And like you said, he's protected. He's got his allies. Jack, talk to me.
I think Bruce has no chance of winning. I think if he gets to the end, I mean, you look at the new mayor of Ponderosa, Caleb, someone who's Bruce consistently bossed around, who doesn't have a great relationship with. Couture is never voting for Bruce. I mean, look, at this point in the game, his own closest allies are debating whether they want to cut him or not. And so, of course, Kelly, I think makes a good move for Kelly by keeping Bruce around. But it's not good gameplay that your number one is like, maybe I could get rid of you at final 12. That's not like, and now Kendra, who's supposed to be
sitting there looking at Caleb, if Bruce is looking at Caleb and lets him know that he was the number one threat in the game, and that's why I had to get you out as soon as I had a clear shot.
I think we're giving Bruce, I think Bruce going for Caleb sure is fine, but like a lot of people had eyes on Caleb. Like it's not like Bruce woke everybody up to Caleb. Like we saw Julie was already skeptical of Caleb. Like a lot of people were.
We can move on. I'm just saying it takes a lot to get a vote. To actually create a vote. Like whoever to be in the majority that makes the vote, and then people hop on the vote. So in this season, we haven't had that many like congruent votes. Being able to actually direct the vote is a big thing. And he directed a unanimous vote, which is probably a bad vote.
That he was like, it's a lot easier to direct votes when you can't go home. You know what I mean? Like,
and when it's on a player that like is the clear standout.
Exactly. And like
amongst the group of 6.
I mean, people try to take shots at standouts, and those shots don't work all the time. Like you can dodge shots. You know, I don't know some people that did that. But you can dodge them. You can dodge them.
Like just because Bruce is like, I guess, trigger happy in terms of taking shots and being willing to call people out, that doesn't mean those are the right shots or the right moves to make.
No, I agree. My last take on Bruce is, again, even if his number one ally is plotting to get him out, is, according to Drew and according to Jake, is there not a pending Bello Reba war? If at any time, if Bruce is feeling like the block is hot, the block is hot, 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 the block is hot, the block is hot, 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 the block is hot. Now, that's not the beat of it, but you know what I'm talking about. Fireman, fight. Okay, whatever. If there's any given time that Bruce is feeling like it's time to go, and clearly I feel like he has a sense of the post, whether we want to agree with it or not, because he ain't played that idol, because my behind would have been like, Jeffrey, here you go, here you go. He has enough posts on the game that he might jump ship. And there's a world where I could see D and Bruce.
Yeah, that's a bridge. Bruce went to Drew. Drew has Austin. They have all the artillery between if they vote out Kelly, that's all 3 idols. That's 3 idols. and basically, people probably. So there's
But
plenty of
Bruce
ways the
hasn't
game
really
can go.
like built those inroads that much with that Reva group where I'd like that's the thing. I don't really think he has that option, at least not in the
But
long.
we don't know that. We do not know that.
He would find
But put it like this, right? If you're Reba and you need someone to flip, right? You already know Bruce has put out Couture's name, right? So you already have somebody you can go to. He's already put that filler out. He's playing a solid game. I think his position is a little better. It's okay though. We can disagree.
Yeah, I guess we'll just disagree.
I have a last note on Bruce.
Oh my God.
So, Bruce, man, you're listening. So, if you see Jack in these streets,
Okay.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like, here's the thing. Bruce is my Bruce is my guy. If I was in the game, I would want to work with Bruce. But
Not you. If you're Jackery. What?
there's a difference. The reason I would want to work with Bruce in this scenario is because the way I feel that people are perceiving him in the game is he's not going to win. So he's someone who is loyal, but also can be a little bit.
So he has a good position. He's got to get to the end.
That's Jack.
Look,
That's
all we were saying.
If Bruce wins this season, I'll eat my shorts on the podcast. Like I don't.
So
like,
you say
These
are you challenging Uncle Bruce?
Look at the potential jury. Who's gonna vote for Bruce?
Who's gonna vote for Gabler? Who's gonna vote for anybody? It doesn't actually matter. You have to get to the end. You have to get to the end and have the best narrative.
Yeah, but Gabler wasn't rubbing people at least from what we were shown, was not rubbing people the wrong way like Bruce is.
But
Okay,
but my thing is how bad can he be
Dude,
rubbing people the wrong way if Kelly's still protecting them? If Jake's still out here trying to get people to go, if no matter what, Couture just voted Caleb out, saying Bello strong.
The answer to that's so simple. It's like Survivor 101. If someone's rubbing people the wrong way, but they're loyal to you, that's someone that's great to go far with because they're gonna get voted out before you are.
They voted me out. No, that's not how it works all the time. They voted me out. My ally let me go. So having allies they have you stay.
Yeah, but your ally wasn't a Bruce. Like they weren't playing the game like Bruce.
My ally was Carla. The beast.
Yeah, and she was playing a much better game than Bruce.
Kelly is a beast, and Kelly kept Bruce.
Okay, Jack.
That's
So what explains them boots on the ground saying Bruce is a threat?
I don't really feel like they actually said Bruce is a threat.
Okay, we're gonna come through with those receipts. But
Next.
the last thing I will say on Bruce.
Yeah, we give Bruce a lot of airplay, yo. I know. Who's
the next like imminent threat on this island
after today?
D.
Oh yeah, true. D. Okay, true.
Austin.
Because I was gonna say Bruce is still
gonna have a target, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's a threat.
He's always gonna have a target.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you're a threat necessarily.
All right,
but
okay.
Let's move on.
Okay.
But if you're always a target, isn't that like the definition of being a threat?
No,
it is.
I mean, think about like episode 1. Emily was the target. Did that mean she was a threat? No.
In my eyes, Emily's a threat.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm thinking. I guess I'm thinking of it as like their position being in threat. But
like, look, if you're always the target and you're able to navigate, then that can transform you into a threat. But we've seen Bruce has only survived one tribal where he's been vulnerable, kind of by the skin of his teeth. Like, I just think he's going to go home very soon. And if I'm wrong, like, and I don't like spewing this, like, I don't want to say anti-Bruce narrative because I said it again and again. Bruce, you're the man. I like Bruce, but just watching that episode, this is how it's coming across. And that's why I'm predicting things to go a certain way. And just the fact that you guys think, like, Bruce is like a contender right now is boggling my mind.
Well, I'm saying is everybody's a contender.
But look, James, like I get what you're saying. Like you got to get to the end. Everyone's a contender.
Go back to our season. Go back to when y'all were covering our season.
Your season was kind of an anomaly, and like, but
this is what happened? Oh, they landed.
This is hilarious.
This is hilarious. That's like first take.
Like your season was one of the biggest anomalies ever, and I can acknowledge that. You kind of just have to get to the end, but like there's without a doubt there's tiers of like people being contenders to win.
No, I feel like everybody that's on the island can win. right? And that's
Like,
the thing about
the
your threat.
different levels of
No, but your threat level is like your frequency, right? So it's threat to my game. Like, are you threatening? Are you threatening to my game? Are you trying to get me out? Are you a threat to take a spot at the end for me because people think that they can beat you? Like threats aren't like it's different types of threats to different
The
people.
way I look at but the thing is, a note, like you said earlier, a notable perceived threat is different than an actual threat. Because I like to think about Survivor in terms of like a quality of players. If you simulate this season 1,000 times, who's gonna win like with the most frequency?
And that's not the game, though. I feel you.
That literally is, because that's how you take odds of the likelihood of winning. Like,
I feel like crazy Uncle Bruce is sitting on his porch with a tank top, drinking a beer, like, hey, those my nephews. Y'all see, those my nephews talking about me. Hey, you say, hey, that's my nephew. I don't know about that boy Jackery, though. I don't know about him. That my sister's husband married him. But those three right there, they my nephews.
Yeah, that was funny.
yeah, I mean,
Okay, Jack? What else is going on?
Okay, and I'm sure obviously we'll circle back on this, I'm sure. So before we get to the immunity challenge, we also see Emily go and chat with Caleb, explain why she voted for him, and he understands that, you know, it wouldn't make sense for her to vote with him as one extra vote. And she also reassures Austin and Drew that, you know, she's trying to potentially build kind of a group of like her, Austin, Drew, and a Caleb. So she's trying to maybe get that group together. We'll see if that, you know, happens. We also see that Austin is not in a hurry to target Kelly. Obviously, they currently share that steal a vote. If one of them goes home, it becomes a full idol. But Austin's kind of consistently been concerned about his threat level, and so he's trying to make sure people don't. If he gets that idol, that's going to boost his target, and he doesn't really want that yet. Just a few things happening. But then we can get into the immunity challenge if you guys are ready.
One more thing about Bruce. Let me say, just kidding.
I have a huge gripe with this immunity challenge.
Brice, you would have won this one, Brice. I know.
So I mean, I wasn't going there, but if we want to go there, yeah. I need to know your specific thought, Jack and James. So last week we merged, but not merged. So we merged. Okay, so that's what we did last week. Okay, cool, Jeffrey. I'm with it. You know, I like it. So, you know, last week was the merge. Now this week, I'm like, hey, we here. Y'all had a merge feast. If you have a merge feast, Jeffrey, that means it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, sorry. There are some people that want to win the game of Survivor. There are some people that making the merge is. That's all I wanted to do, right? So, okay, last week we had the then we had the merge feast. Now we together. Now Jeffrey got On Fire podcast. Now he want to be switching up things. I don't understand it. Now it's like, we're going to break y'all up into teams. Okay, well, you should have just swapped tribes and made it 2 tribes. Then somebody's going to go, we're having a double elimination. Then the first person eliminated is not making the merge. So this episode is the merge.
No, he's not making the jury.
Yeah,
but no.
I mean,
a part of making the merge is making the jury.
Well, that's not historically true.
No, it is.
No, it's not.
When has it not been, Jack?
Worlds apart, the first person voted out the merge didn't make the jury.
In the new era.
Season 43, James's season, first person voted out after the merge. I don't believe made the jury.
20 seats.
Last year they did something. Now, Brice, I generally agree with you, right? Like, I don't like when they do this like mergatory, and then they break into 2 groups, and so you have this opportunity to have this big 13-person, 12-person vote, and they just keep whittling it down. And then now the first actual merge vote we're going to get is next episode. But like they do this a lot. You can make the merge without making the jury. And I think the reason they do that technically is because, you know, say the jury started right now, it would be a 12-person jury, 3-person final 3. There would be 9 jurors. There's a possibility the vote could be 3-3-3, in which case there's no way to break the tie. So they have to have a certain
fight to the death.
So,
So how you feel, Brice?
Oh,
first of all, Jack didn't prove anything.
so Brice,
that's-
I'll step in and let you know Jack is right. Just so you.
James, you don't prove anything.
I would not know about the new era jury process. I would know zero things about it. But I feel like
I gotta ask Carla.
Oh,
Brice, I generally agree with you.
Right.
I don't like the splitting up into two tribes because it also, this is a weird way to think about it, but we also lose an episode of, Survivor when it's a double boot. We're losing what could potentially be another episode. I don't like it for the reasons I stated, as far as like it delays some merge gameplay. But as far as not making the jury, like that is consistent with like historically consistent. But again, I also I don't really know why they could have had a 10-person jury and Jay Maya could have been on the jury too.
Right. That's my girl. But time out. Anybody that's watching on YouTube right now, can y'all please screenshot that image of Wendell drinking that water bottle? Why did you hold that water bottle like that?
How did I hold it?
You held it like weirdly. I've never seen.
It's one of the big. It's one of the big ones. It's 50 ounces, right?
Jesus.
So I just held it like this.
It's got a nice girth on it. But I'll tell you something though. Oh, sorry, James. What was you about to say?
Take Brice out of the pod.
I do. If you're going to do the split, I'd rather it be now than at 10. Only because you haven't actually had votes at the merge. So, like, no type of hierarchy has really been built for the most part to kind of break down. So if you're going to do it this way, I think this is the best way to do it. If you're going to do a split, this is the best way to do it.
The only other thing that I will say, although this kind of pissed me off because it's the not the merge. The one thing production got right this episode, Jack, Wendell, do you know what I can agree with what they got right?
Challenge?
No. What happened? They had to do what? They had to
go to different islands,
draw rocks.
Don't say pulling rocks from.
Okay. Listen, and this is how you split up teams. You don't give them no charcuterie board of buffs. You put your hand in a bag, and you don't know what's going to come out.
No, you need schoolyard pick. I want it. Let's get real.
Right. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, James.
I just feel like let's go schoolyard pick. Let's have people put people on the spot. I feel like that tension, it would be great just to see where you have to kind of for the reward challenges, especially.
Whoa. But when both tribes are going to tribal, I think a schoolyard pick could really lead to people getting screwed because if you could just pick all your allies and then pick the person you want to vote out.
Have more allies. A rock draw is worse. I'd rather at least it's people and not rocks. Like
smorgasbord of the smorgasbord of buffs left people screwed.
Like you really people get wrong. But at least it's your game ingenuity. It's a game choice. Whereas like you have agency.
If it's a schoolyard pick and I'm not a captain and you three all came from the same tribe,
when
your captain game and you're like, all right, I'm gonna pick Wendell, I'm gonna pick Brice, and then we'll take Jack, and then now I'm on the minority because you got
that's where strategy comes in. Maybe the person the lines are blurry, right? So that's why you go to the beach. If you go no one thought Sammy was voting me out, but he did. That's why you have tribal. You're there to play the game and make the lines blur. You're not there to be static. You're there to say they want me out, so I'm gonna just take them out. We're gonna make these moves. So we can go to the next. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying like a schoolyard pick. Like there's you're still like if I'm a captain, it's gonna put me in a much better spot, like much bigger advantage than like if I'm
the target on your back moving forward in the game. You pick the team, so now you take someone's ally out.
I think I like the randomness because you can't get like directly screwed over by like some weird schoolyard pick thing.
I mean,
again, I'm not agree to this. This is like something I didn't think we were going to be arguing about, but like it's not really fair if someone could just pick their top allies and then just vote out whoever they want.
But that's where strategy comes.
Of course, you could always maneuver out, but like just
what if two allies become two captains?
Yeah.
Now, So at the end of the day, there's no fair way, but I feel anywhere where a player has
Well,
agency is the way to
drawing
go.
rocks is pretty fair. It's random.
That's the problem. But we agree to disagree. Can y'all come back? Y'all getting extra with this show.
I feel like I'm like I feel like I'm being like, delusional.
How did y'all go from that to now arguing about if drawing rocks is random?
That's what I'm saying. Like
Drawing rocks is random. Like this is
James trying to be like every rock is a threat.
The threat level of each rock matters.
It all
If it's a
depends
big
on the last
boulder,
3 rocks.
a big boulder you are going to see as an imminent threat. Now, this little rock, initially,
I'm
you're
always
not gonna
grabbing a
think
little
anything
rock.
of it.
I'm always
But if
grabbing a little rock.
Now,
If
Brice,
you
I
throw
want
it through a window. Go ahead, Jay.
Brice, I want to ask you a hypothetical about this rock draw.
Oh.
What if, say, the intern left all the rocks out before they put them in the bag, and the red rocks absorbed the heat of the sun more effectively, and so you could feel that the red rock is warmer than the other rocks, and you and your allies could be like, "Yo, pick the warm rocks."
Well, unfortunately, that intern that provided the smorgasbord was let go. So now we know that
They
you
didn't
ain't
do
gonna
that.
have no warm rock. But if Austin needed to choose a rock, I would tell him to pick the warm one.
Was it a
I don't know
buff
what that means.
charcuterie board?
The buff was a charcuterie board. A charcuterie buff.
Buff cooterie board.
Oh, I like that one better. Oh,
Sharp
I,
buffalo.
I hope Austin would
Charcuterie?
have picked.
We should make a anyway. Let's get back
This
to
one's
this.
going off the rails a little bit.
Wait, but what was it called? A buffery?
Sharp buffalo.
Charbuffery? What was yours, Wendell?
Buff cooterie?
See, yeah. I wish Austin would have picked my
Charcuterie buff?
buff-cooterie. Okay. Because this buff-cooterie.
Kick Brice out of the pod.
So the challenge, as Brice said, they're splitting up into 2 groups. The last remaining overall, so the winner of each group gets immunity, but the last one remaining overall wins reward at the sanctuary for their group, and also gets the privilege of going to travel second, which ensures that whoever's voted out will be the first member of the jury. We got a classic Survivor challenge here, holding on to the pole for as long as possible. Some that Brice, I think you could have done well in this merge challenge.
I'm still holding on.
So the teams on red, we have Jake, D, Austin, Caleb, Katora, and Julie. Over on blue, we've got Bruce, Sifu, Kendra, Kelly, Emily, and Drew. Should I just dive in and recap kind of what went down in the challenge?
Yeah. If they hang it on a pole, just they seen it. They watching the show. You don't gotta go.
Well, just the order of just the order of people going out. We got Emily and Julie falling right away. Quickly followed by Kendra, Jake, Sifu, and Bruce, which leaves Drew and Kelly left for blue. Austin falls on the red side, and which leaves Caleb, Katura, and D. Drew ends up falling, which leads to Kelly winning for the blue side, but she's sticking it out in hopes of winning that reward. Caleb goes out for red, and then Katura falls shortly after, which means D wins for the red side. So now we have D and Kelly as the individual immunity winners, and then with big shout out to her big toe, D is able to hang on and win the overall reward after Kelly drops out. So that means that red side will be going to travel second with that and win that reward and that spot on the jury.
I loved it when D was up there and she looked at her team and she said, "We gonna eat tonight." I said, "Oh my God!"
You're so cool with it too, Brice.
Right? She had that one big toe was like, that one big toe said, "I ain't gonna let go. I got you." She started to fall. I told her, "I got it. I hold it on." D was like, "Oh, that's I'm right here. I'm right here." Okay. I just gotta know. Do D have to pay extra when she get a pedicure? Do they be like, "Ooh, huh? That's a big toe."
That's 2 acres of land on there.
Right. I gotta charge you double for that polish. Here's the thing. I will say, right? I have always had D. I feel like she is my clear winner pick, and I kept hearing Wendell, Jack, y'all saying Kelly. Now, I always thought Kelly was hella strong. I just like y'all kept saying she's getting this winner edit, and I'm like, I don't feel like we see enough of Kelly for a winner edit. Now, I think that she absolutely could win. However, after today, after this episode, I was like,
Kelly!
Kelly.
Kelly takeover starts today.
Okay, I wasn't saying she was getting a winner edit.
That's
I
what you
was
said.
saying-
Roll the
I
tape.
was saying
That's what
she
you
was
said.
getting no. I was saying winner vibes. There's, I
No,
think,
you
I
said
think
edit.
no. Okay, fine. Well, let me correct myself. If I said edit, I don't think I said edit. First of
You
all,
said-
I
Jack,
said
he
winner
said edit.
vibes because like there's so I said I've like seen her in the background and in places where I'm just like, yo, I'm getting winner vibes from her. And in this case with her and D, I love this battle of these two strong women. I want to see if they end up working together. I want to see if they end up going for each man. Fine, I'll do this. I want to see if they end up going for each other. But this dynamic is great. These are two like super strong women. Either one of them can probably win a bunch of these immunity challenges. They both are politicking like crazy. They both got it in them. So like I'm hyped to see this. This is the matchup to watch. Sorry for being so adamant.
No need to apologize. Yeah, I well, here's my question to you though. You see Bruce a lot in the background.
What is that? Was that a question?
Now I was just asking Wendell because he
I'm
said
not
like
even
he
gonna
saw
dignify that.
Kelly in the background, so he was like he's getting winner vibes. So when you see Uncle Bruce in the background doing magic tricks, which you don't get winner vibes.
I mean, I don't think Bruce is getting a winning edit by like the edit and edit people readers.
Okay. I just wanted to, just had to ask the question. But for sure, I definitely I saw Kelly today.
I feel like Kelly has done subtle things throughout the game. Like not being targeted at that split is a big deal. Like her name did not come up as someone to go home. So that's gameplay. Like being able to not be a target that people can coalesce around. Something
Wait,
that
last episode?
yeah, she wasn't she able she was
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of, she was immune. She wasn't immune, but she was somebody they could take out. She was a big juicy threat. Reba had numbers, and they chose to take out Jay Maya. I mean, that Bruce had nothing to do with that. Zero to do with not targeting his number one Kelly. So I think she's in a really good spot. She has a nice shield in front of her, some shields on the other side going against her, and like Wendell, I don't know if Wendell was thinking this, but to take out Austin and D, Austin and Drew, D is going to need some help outside of Reba. But what I see, that's 2-2. They're going to need to bring somebody in. And who has the incentive to vote Austin out?
Not me.
Kelly.
Kelly.
I'll be quiet.
So
Oh, James just dropped some knowledge on us. I feel like when I listen back, I'm gonna be calling James like, wait a minute, what you said right there, and you had Jack agreeing.
And then if we talk this one through, if she has the incentive to get Austin out eventually, and then she's gonna mess around and have an idol. So not only is this other threat Austin's done a great job of chilling, minimizing his threat. This man, go ahead, Brice. He's what?
He's got long hair. He's chill. I see him in the background and I think, ooh. He's got hazel brown eyes. He's got soft yet hard hands. He's got chiseled ass.
Okay.
A round areola. He's got a smile on his face.
Okay. Austin is a standout character, but he's been doing a great job of understanding, you know what? I'm not even going to target Kelly because then I'll have the idol and that'll be an even bigger threat. He's been doing a great job. But if Kelly messes around and at some point gets Austin out of the game, whoo, now she got an idol and she's strong and she's probably going to win another immunity at some point.
All right. Hot take time. You have to answer. Jack, James, Wendell. We are in the James. We are in the jury.
Kelly.
Caleb.
Kelly, final two. Who are we voting for?
Kelly.
Based on the game up to now,
Jack, explain it to him, because it seemed like when I talk, he don't want to answer.
ask you a question.
I just said the only response I want is D or Kelly. You talk about, well, what size is the rock?
Kelly. Kelly.
James.
I plead the fifth.
No, you can't.
I can.
It's just hypothetically.
Kelly's the
I
best
can't.
player.
I can't make that call right now.
It's just James.
James, we're not gonna go to.
Oh
Jeff
no, it's not
Probst.
about that. It's just like, nah, I mean, I'm no, it's let them do their thing. You know what I mean? I'm not a juror. I don't know who I would vote for. I feel like that there's so much game left to be played. You know,
I know, but
let him.
Right, it's right now though. You just gotta pick.
I love D too, but I think for me, Kelly is just like one of the best players maybe we've seen in a long time.
Okay, all right. So Wendell, what do you got?
I said Kelly was my winner pick last power rankings. I hope we do power rankings again very soon.
Yeah,
but since you're asking me right now, I got D.
And so that's why you want to change the power ranking. Like I said in the group message, she texted us the other day, like, hey, I think we need to do another. Why? Is it because y'all rankings aren't doing as well as mine?
Well,
James, if you can't pick Kelly or D, you can't.
I got a caveat. I feel like if they're at the final tribal together, the winner would be the person who doesn't have their ally with them. So let's say Bruce is in the final three with Kelly. Kelly loses because D has more votes. If D is in the final three, if D has one of her allies, so that's what I feel like happens. I feel like if they go there with their number one, they need the votes in the jury. It's that tight.
Wait a minute. I'm a little confused. If they have their ally with them, they will lose. That's what you're saying?
Yes. They need to be in the final three with two people they didn't work with, so they have all the allies needed on the jury.
I'm gonna stick.
I get what you're saying, but can we just get a pick?
Right, right.
I'm gonna go with D only because I'm gonna go with Kelly only because I think D and Julie got a better chance of making it to the end together.
So I'm gonna stick with my original choice, D, only because one, that's who I originally picked in my power ranking.
We heard
you. My only reason for not picking Kelly is she has the amulet, and I think that Austin might strike. But I mean, first of all, if they were the final two, I would be a very happy gay man that loves Survivor. I would be.
So,
Kelly and Austin?
Question: do you want? So are Julie and D wanting Austin to have two idols for him and Drew?
They don't know about the amulet though.
Oh,
that's are y'all forgetting the only person who told Drew?
You think they might bust a move on Austin?
So if they don't know and Kelly tells them,
like, you might take her out before you tell them.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like that's going to come together, and they're going to have to target those two, whether they like it or not. I feel like that's what's going to happen. Now, I think they probably could stay strong, but at some point, you could go down to that 4, but who wants to actually, go make fire, so.
There's another part of me that wants to pick Kelly only because after D and Kelly both winning this immunity, it seems that D's threat level is radiating a little bit higher than Kelly's. And so for me, that makes me nervous for her because I feel like she's just illuminating a lot more than Kelly after this episode.
You're right, Brice. Now, here's my question to you. How insulated is she?
Well, she's not that insulated only because she got rid of J Maya and and her number one ally is Julie. And I say that because Jake, who we also need to talk about, his number one thing was, I don't want to target D just yet, but I want to go for her right hand. And the right hand was Julie. And I said, oh, not Julie, not Mama Julie. That's Tina getting shots. Now, here's another thing. Can we talk about Jake real quick? I feel like we don't give Jake, that is the Luke, that is Jake, enough like airtime on this podcast because I feel like consistently, well, first of all, anybody that gets mad at theyself, like how Jake get mad at theyself, I like. You ever be like, you trip over something in your house, you be like, what the like, you ever like hit your knee at the end of the bed, you like, like you get mad, like, when he falls and has those like medical things, like how mad he gets at himself. I can relate to that. And I feel like he has said from day one, he wants to like make a long connection, get with people. And I feel like each time we see him in the confessionals, he is talking about like how far he wants to go. And for him to like start targeting Julie, for me, it was like, I think Jake might be on to something here, or at least like he's thinking next level. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, I feel like Jake had a great episode. I feel like the thing about these 90-minute episodes is you can see everybody's point of view on why they're making votes. So everybody says voting incorrectly, or you make a vote to kind of stay where you stand, and that's a communication. So what you were thinking. Now, sometimes you don't win the vote, but I feel like Jake had very sound thinking. I think the one thing Jake didn't think about was maybe trying to sway Austin to actually take the shot at Julie. And I think the thing about it is maybe they don't have that relationship and that bond to kind of, that's where I feel like you have to kind of build those social relationships across those tribal lines so that you do maybe can say, hey, I mean, Julie may have threw your name out there. Lie. That works a lot. Sammy told Carla that I was going to take her idol with my knowledge is power. You never you can put some stuff out there in the world and you never know what sticks. So, but I feel like the thinking is good. If you can't target someone, you target the person that's next to that person to eliminate their power, and that's a tried and true strategy because you need people to vote people out.
Jack, what's your thoughts on Jake?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought this up because we didn't see him much before the immunity challenge, but after the immunity challenge, I think he really showed out. Considering he ends up on the wrong side of the votes, I actually think this is still a great episode for him. Even if you just want to look at it from a, Jake entertainment angle, just absolutely loved what we saw from Jake. I think he correctly diagnoses the situation very well. And I think he formulates a plan that is really ballsy, but also very solid and a good move for him. And so that's obviously kind of the type of player we love to watch, is someone who's who's willing to take big shots. Obviously the situation with Katora gets mucked up a little bit. And I think you could throw some of that blame on Caleb for maybe, it kind of falls apart when they decide to tell her about Bruce's idol, which obviously did begin as Caleb's idea. And then, we'll get more into what goes down to tribal exactly. But I just loved what I saw from Jake here. And it might put him in a worse position down the line. But if everyone was playing the game like Jake's playing the game, it would be a damn good season of Survivor. So,
but sometimes it's good to be on the wrong side of the vote. It lowers your threat level. Like, people are like, oh, we can beat this person at the end. Let's take them. Like, this, like, there is always, I mean,
I see what you're saying, but obviously in terms of, your overall social capital, you don't, as Jake, you don't necessarily want to, blow that capital that you have with like Julie, D, and Austin. But again, he owns up to it really fast. I think he'll be able to recover,
but they were against you anyway.
Bella really, they were roping him into the vote.
No, they only need, like, they weren't roping him in. Like, they like it's like, all right, so what, come back, y'all. But no, like, I feel like you get your core people for a vote. So right now they're about to be down to what 10 now?
10, yeah.
So now you get your 6. If you get any more than that, that's just, not trying to have collateral damage. But the 6 that make the vote.
But it's like, we see this episode, like, Julie, D, and Austin, when they're getting that Caleb vote together, they go to Jake and they say, hey, Jake, we want to work with you. We want to go for Caleb, this and that. And they were a little bit pushy with him, so I don't think they managed their relationship with Jake that well. But it does show me they want to work with him. And obviously by him taking the shot, that sours that relationship a little bit. But I do think he could recover.
See, I think that, and and that's I think what you're saying is right to a sense. But you, in that situation where there's 6, they have to work with him. If there's more people and they don't need his number, they don't necessarily may not need him to get the next vote. So,
true, but you'd rather present yourself as an option to work with than an option to vote out after you turn on them. Like, I think Jake's gonna be in scramble mode going forward, but I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch him.
Right,
And
and he's
so
from Boston, and you
I'd
know,
rather he takes shots and he's the Boston underdog and he's making moves, and I think he could scramble a few episodes. I'd rather see that than him coast by. Not that he was coasting by, but like just in general. Like, I'd rather see people playing balls to the wall.
Oh.
Whoa, y'all are flagrant.
Can I ask another question real quick? Your thoughts on Drew going, like, what we saw of him in the beginning and his pre, and like, what do you think of like how his game is right now? Do you like, would love to hear thoughts?
The fact that he didn't get targeted here, I feel like speaks volume. I feel like he has a very low threat level to everybody. I don't think people are worried about him in the game. I feel like the fact that I feel like Sifu's wild cardness was more weary than Drew's threat level to everybody on the island.
Yeah, I think people are just like, Drew's just in the mix. I don't think they look at him as somebody that's like really moving and shaking.
So
I don't think they're scared of him.
in James's terminology, as a viewer, then does
Then
that
he can win?
does that spike his, that means his threat level, or not his threat level, but his, because you know y'all said this wasn't a thing, threat level and threat level to win, you
The
know,
threat level to get to the end.
right,
So
to get,
if people want to carry him, if you're someone that's a quote unquote no one wants to sit next to, you're a Caleb. I don't want to sit next to Caleb. I don't want to sit next to D. Okay. I don't want to sit next to Caleb. I want to sit next to D. People will take your allies, may take over you because they can beat, are your threats. Not necessarily other people playing the game well, because I'm playing the game well too. But the person that your ally is willing to take over you is a bigger threat than the person playing the game well. And that's where the game is about to shift when you get to this end game.
That's it. I wish there was like a different term that we could name these people that are adjacent to these super winnable people that then become these threats.
So picture the winnable thing you said, right? Winnable is you put a picture on the wall and you look at that picture and it's like, do you think they can win Survivor?
Yeah.
That's like your initial boom.
Yeah.
Right? And then you go play the game and then, things happen and it's like, oh, your social game, your physical game, and your strategy. And those things fluctuate. But that, like, just how you look, if you're like most CEOs are like over 6 feet, they're in America, most CEOs are white males over 6 feet, a certain look. It's just kind of what it is.
Accurate.
Yeah. I'm about to be a CEO.
So it's like there's a certain presence that you have that's when people walk into a restaurant, a club, anywhere, gravity. And that gravity is how people usually say threat. Like Bruce has gravity on the island. That's what Brice saying. No matter what, he still has that gravity. Some people don't have that gravity. Bruce had the gravity. He had the juice. He saw Caleb had the juice. He's like, Bruce, like, I got the juice. I got the juice. Saw Caleb. Well, Caleb really got the juice.
It's like Caleb had the sauce.
It's like you the big man in high school. You go to college and you like, whoa. Yeah. they can hoop over here. So you did. Oh, sorry.
Another question in that same line of thinking, right? Where it's like when Wendell was saying, we wish we had a name for these people that are adjacent to these beasts. Does it make you think of Bruce's game anymore? The fact that he chooses to align himself with Kelly.
So are you trying to say that because he's adjacent to a beast, because he's a Robin to a Batman per se?
Correct. What if, because don't remember when he started calling Kelly his number 2, you're my, and Kelly was even like, I don't know when I got promoted to this, but like, would it change your thoughts of him if he saw that in Kelly and was like, she's got to be my number 1, so that if people clump us together,
she's the big dog. So he's actively making a strategic decision to align his Robin with a Batman.
Correct.
I mean,
I'm just asking, would you think of it any differently?
That sounds like keeping threats around, but he tried to get rid of Caleb, so I don't know necessarily that's his motto. So I feel like like in this game, you don't really need that many relationships. You have one solid person that's looking out for you. What you want is that lookout conversation. Like, hey, tone it down. You have those all the time. I'm like, tone it down. Oh, they're coming for me. Don't use your idol. Like, because Kelly could have said, maybe you may want to use your idol. I don't trust Kendra. Like, that's what some allies did. So, like, you look at the last season, Matt wanted Brandon to use his idol. Like, so many people don't care to use your idol. If someone's telling you to keep your idol, that like is something that you hold value. So, I mean, I think that navigating the game with your number one, you want someone also. I think Bruce isn't threatened by Kelly, and Kelly's threatened by Bruce, which works well in a partnership where I think Kelly thinks she can beat Bruce at the end, and Bruce thinks Kelly can beat Kelly at the end. And that's the type of ally you want to have, where they're not looking at you like, can I really beat this person? Sabaya looked at Caleb. Can I really beat Caleb at the end? Can I really outdo? So now when you're not coming in, you're not equally yoked in that way, at some point that's going to eat at you, because the game is going to happen and people are going to perceive someone playing better than the other person, or someone dictating moves versus somebody. But if you both are like, I can beat you regardless, that's a powerful thing. And you both know that, like, Bruce ain't intimidated by me. I'm not intimidated by Bruce. Worst case scenario, if he hears my name, he's gonna come to me, and I already saved him. So that's how you build trust. And they haven't had real votes yet. So, like, any little bit of trust they're able to gather is really big.
Wow, that's true. Yeah, you need a partner that thinks they could beat you, but you need to accurately diagnose whether you can actually beat them or not. Yeah, it's a great that is a good Survivor philosophy for sure. Or you need someone who maybe doesn't know if they could beat you, but isn't willing to take the shot in a sense.
Nah, if people take that shot, like
it's rare. It's rare to find, but it exists.
No, it's by design of the game. By the time you get to 5 and 4, you know who you know who out here.
I mean, do you think like a Joe Del Campo is going to go vote out like an Aubrey?
I think you're going deep into history. I don't.
We can't go into history now.
I know Aubrey. I know Joe.
I mean, do you think like a Julie would take out a D?
Would Julie take out a D? I mean, does Julie think she can beat D? I think Julie thinks she can beat D.
You think so?
Yes. Julie's a grown woman, just like Gabler. Gabler knew he could beat every one of those kids out there talking.
Maybe my thing is like
Gabler was a grown woman.
Maybe the
Don't let Gabler hear you say that.
Maybe what I more so mean is maybe there's people out there that don't have as good of a grasp on who maybe everyone
right. They don't know that,
but they're not as like objectively aware of if they can or not. Like maybe I don't even want to knock like a Julie in this partnership, but in this partnership, maybe she's like, well, I don't know how much Survivor Julie's seen, but maybe she's like, I might be able to beat a D, and she's my closest ally, so like I'll go to the end with her. But
the way Julie talked, I feel like Julie is sitting there letting the kids go around. She's sitting there like, all right, I'm gonna let y'all do all this, and I'm just going to try to figure out what the best moves for me each vote.
I don't get that from Julie. I feel like from what we have seen from Tina, that is Julie. She is very outspoken, and I feel like she's not the type to like sit back. So I don't get that from Julie.
Nah, she should have voted out Seafood to get that.
I like Julie a lot.
She ain't pulled a D.
I like Julie a lot, but we have seen that she has been like flexible in her plans.
But that isn't the number one rule of Survivor. Don't throw a name out first. Like, I feel like
I don't mind Julie's gameplay, but for you to say that she's been like outspoken, I don't think.
Outspoken and
Julie positioned herself well, but if she wants to win at some point, she is gonna have to start throwing out those names.
But she has enough time though.
She does, and it's possible. I don't know if she will be able to pull the trigger like that, which is kind of why I do see her as someone who might end up at the end with like a D and lose. But
here's all you need to know. D wrote down Sifu's name in that tribal council. She's out there for blood. And I feel D's confident of this. She's one of those people that she feels like she can beat every single person in Reba. She feels like she can beat Dwight. She feels like she can beat everybody that's out.
White. The White was on this season?
She could be
I
James
was talking-
Jones. She
I
could
was
be
talking to Dwight yesterday.
Isaiah.
Like Dwight and Drew just kind of threw me off because they both like jeans. Like so, she feels like she can be Drew. She feels like she can be Austin. She feels like she can probably be Julie. So she's not looking at them as like threats. She really is like, yo, y'all are my allies because I feel like I can beat y'all.
Yeah.
Here,
Oh,
there
just-
it,
She'll sit next to anybody. She'll sit next to anybody on that island.
But I do think down the line she'd be willing to, take the shot at people that could be like a Austin. That could
well,
be
right, but I
course,
also feel like one of Dee's Achilles toes is that if say she gets wind that Mama Julie was just entertaining somebody. From what we have seen of D is like,
Night,
yo,
night.
gotta go, right? And so I feel like that could be her Achilles toe, that like sometimes you gotta let some things go and think about the next 2-3 steps. So that's the one thing that I worry about with.
And that's why I do lean towards your hypothetical. That's why I lean Kelly, because I think Kelly is a little bit more. I think D is a fantastic player. I just think Kelly, like, in my opinion, right now, maybe this is a hot take, one of the best players of the new era. I think she's got a lot of finesse. She's very level-headed. Like, if you threw D in this situation that Kelly's in with Bruce, I don't think Kelly handles it quite as well.
That's a great word, finesse. Her finesse is crazy, and like she's
It's
smooth.
very
with
Kim
it.
Stradlin.
Yeah, whereas D might just be ready to. What'd you say, Bruce? Okay, cool. Bruce,
Are y'all forgetting D finessed Jay to saying that she put Sifu's name down? Like, I think that y'all like.
Oh,
I think D's finesse is a strong arm. I think D is like.
Have you ever heard of a flip flopper? Because that's what you give a real flip flopper
Are
vibe.
we making a flip? No, I'm keeping it funky.
but D also didn't convince J Maya to do that. J Maya introduced that plan herself.
But she convinced her by D convinced her by laying her behind in that shed where Sifu was going off, and she said,
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's that pressure. People like the pressure you don't see is when
right,
you're sitting there.
finesse.
Like you're sitting there. Someone wrote his name down, and someone has information. And who now? If you're not going to say the information, who are people scared to rat out? Like who has if you're saying I'll volunteer because you're trying to maybe get in to kind of get some brownie points with the people that have the juice. Like, that's the thing. I think the one thing you can't see, if there was like a juice meter on the island, I feel like that would be lit. Like where you can know who's having the juice.
We need that
because
there's a difference between the juice and the sauce.
Well,
That's an important difference. The juice is temporary, but the sauce, you got a jar of sauce in your fridge. It lasts a lot longer. You know how often are you going and buying a new bottle of hot sauce? The sauce is around. The juice you could be that could be your mixer for the night, and everyone's making a little vodka Sprite, and the juice is gone all of a sudden. But the sauce lasts a long time. But that's a different conversation. But
who's got the juice and who's got the sauce?
I think Kelly's got the sauce, and D has some sauce too, though. I don't want to. Caleb had the juice. Is
there a way we could sample like how
No, Brice.
Okay.
There's no Caleb juice out
there. You can't sample Austin's juice, Brice.
No, I want I want to taste. Never. No, that's too far.
Not the sauce either.
You're gonna get banned, Brice.
Yeah.
Stop. Okay. So we have established that Wendell is a flip flopper.
No.
Yes, because Wendell be like, no, because Kelly got because D. But Kelly
are both great players.
Yes, but also
they're playing two separate, very strong games.
Right.
Two distinct, separate, very strong games.
There's always time for them to fumble their games too. So I mean, they got time.
And we're at the sanctuary where there's Katora, D, Julie, Caleb, Jake, and Austin. Check.
Yeah, and I mean, we've kind of been jumping all over the place, but yeah, they're enjoying their reward. Like we said, the Reba 3, Julie, D, and Austin kind of throw out this plan to get Caleb, but Jake and Katura obviously have this bond with Caleb, and so they're thinking, maybe there's something we can maneuver. That's when this sets, Jake's plan in motion, but they do decide, hey, Austin knows about Bruce's idol, so before Austin can go grab Katura, let's go tell Katura about Bruce's idol. But obviously, she finds out that her allies were excluding her for one reason or another. Even Jake owns up to the fact, he's like, I wasn't missing my ring. I was helping Bruce find the idol.
And she even says to Caleb, you too.
Yeah. And
So
when you're asking someone to maybe go to Rock's View, that's not the ideal.
In theory, it sounded good though, right?
It sounded all right.
In theory, it didn't sound good. Like you want to get the majority. Like no one's going to Rocks. Like
But also that we literally watched in real time them admit to playing the ish out of her. They embarrassed her an episode before, and we watched the look on her face.
And I think that they thought her disdain for Bruce that would carry over. But in reality, what it's really telling her is that, like, you played in my face.
And it was all of y'all, and y'all are making up elaborate schemes and winking at each other.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough in Couture's shoes because obviously, with all this new information, you can't really expect her to like possibly go to Rocks. Although I do think Austin probably would have flipped if Jake Ford. But again, like it's just tough for Couture because now she makes the safe move and votes with the majority to take out Caleb. But now I'm just kind of like, who are Couture's allies? Like
so
she's kind of subjecting herself to kind of take the back seat.
I go from one back seat to another back seat.
So
but
this
you're
is
still in the car.
Here's the deal. The thing about now in the game, like your allies, it's about people who want to make moves against other people. When you're not a target, you necessarily don't need to have allies. Wonder why? Because you're the ally of the person with the juice. The person with the juice is like coming to you to get
that's not a winning recipe, though. That's
for Gabler. It was.
Yeah, but we can talk about these anomalies. That doesn't
for Erica waited till she got her 4 to 7. They took advantage. She got to the end. The key is to try to get to
Erica had better allies.
I mean, she had Heather,
Heather, Xander. She had a lot of people from the
that was that Xander that was based on circumstance.
I know you and I understand why your perspective is a little skewed because you were on a season that had a Gabler as a winner, which is like very out there. But I would say in the standard season, there tends to be like a blueprint that works more often than not. And right now, Couture has sort of went for the comfortable move, which I'm not even mad at, but I'm like, that bond she was forming with Caleb might have been her best bond on the island. So now she goes back to camp, and it's like, what is she? She's going to be a number.
Which is great at this point in the game because the game is early. But that's the thing. We're talking about a game of could be's. So she's still in the game. She's also at the bottom of Bello, clearly, right? So now it would have been easy at that whole thing for everybody to. She's clearly at the bottom of Bello. Everybody knew about Bruce.
She's good with like Kendra. She's fine with Kelly.
They didn't tell her about Bruce Idol. Like she's at the bottom of the Bello tribe. So at the end of the day, they could have she could have got sacrificed there too. I mean, that's all
I'm saying is I don't necessarily think she should have gone with this force Rocks whatever plan. I'm just like now I feel like she voted out maybe her closest ally a little too easy.
That's a good read. You can't be a close ally if you're not telling me stuff.
You can. I think you can.
I feel like people are waiting for the Bello Reba war to happen, and I feel like they need to be on the Purple Pants podcast because the Jackery and James battle royale.
Well, I don't even think I don't even know if we're necessarily disagreeing on this point. All I'm saying
what are y'all doing?
Well, you just put us next to each other on the and an argument, but all I'm saying, like, I don't like this might have been the best move for Couture, but now it's like she's gonna be at the bottom of the game. She's gonna be looked at as a number, and she's gonna really have to play really well to change that, to utilize that
as a number
at the bottom. Have we forgot about Kendra? Have we forgot about Couture? Have we forgot about Emily? Emily's connection to Austin, to Drew.
Yeah,
like I feel like there is.
And what happens is the big war happens, and what you have is the stragglers at the end get a majority, and it's obvious to take out the people that are making the moves. You have Kendra, Couture, Emily.
But I
Just need
think
one more
people
person to get to that
position
floor.
now better than Katora to capitalize on that as a potential winner, right? Like at this point, and also here's the thing: Katora has now made, I guess what you could say is a couple safer moves, which isn't necessarily bad gameplay. But now I think a lot of people are going to look at her as like, when are you going to take control? And so
She got
again,
time.
again, yes, she could do that. I think she necessarily will.
Do
I
people
don't
want to sit
think
next to her
so.
at the end right now? Do people want
What's
to sit
up?
next to her at the end? Would you want to sit next to her at the end?
Yeah.
That's a great place to be in.
No, but the thing is, you have to change your perception at some point, or else you're just going to be at the end and lose.
The game does that. The game naturally does that. People get voted out every single vote.
Is it
let
safe
the
to say
people
that-
let people take care of that?
Is it safe to say that they've done a good job at getting rid of some of these type of players in like J Maya, Sifu? Like it might appear as though
They're taking out the non-threaty people. That's what they're doing.
so if we trend in that direction,
And this is the first season that is playing since the Gambler win.
And Bruce also knows what happened with 44 about Tika playing the middle. So, like the strategy is evolving consistently. And I think it's interesting and great.
Look, all I'm saying is right now the path, because also, you send Caleb again. I think the first member of the jury is a very important member because every person they're going to be in the year. Caleb, he's looking at Katora as maybe his closest ally who was too willing to cut him and not make a move. So now I think the perception of Katora is going to be that she's a very passive player. Can she turn that around? Sure, but what's her group at this point at the end?
It's your responsibility when you know you're the vote. If I'm Caleb, I'm talking to Austin. I'm talking like it's like, yo, it's like you the target, yo. You got to figure out. You got to make something happen, yo.
Look, all I'm asking is, what's a reasonable group that Katora could end up in the final three with, where she has?
He just came to you, Emily.
I think Emily would beat her. So.
But we don't know what Katora has yet to do. Katora can make a huge move.
I just think we've seen a consistent level of passivity from her.
Well, I mean, we see the same thing from Mama Tina, and you said Mama Tina could still like.
I don't think Julia's going to win either. Like,
I think Katora has done a great job at lowering her intellect, her strength, and other things because she understands her perception or how she can be portrayed. I think that when people talk to her, she does an idol. She does that very well because
there's a case that she could do it too well, though, where people don't think she's a player.
I think Katora is so smart and well-versed that she can snap and assassinate people at final time.
I think it's possible. That's what I'm saying. I just hope she turns up the next few episodes because that's what she's going to need to do.
She'd have to build a little bit of resume.
But I think out there we can move forward. But I think out there people also know who doesn't have the juice, and you do get respect if people know. I think Sandra was one of Sandra, where people knew like she was out there telling them the gospel and they weren't listening. So we got the final tribal. I was trying to tell you.
But I think right now Katora is pretty juiceless. That's the thing.
But see, I feel like we're only seeing one side of Katora. I think that it's very evident that there is more to Katora than what we are seeing.
I believe that she can turn around. I wasn't trying to write her off. I was more so saying now that she's kind of made this move where she's eliminating her closest ally when she kind of had a chance to keep him. But now, all I'm saying is now we just need to see her turn up if she wants to win.
But her closest ally just pulled the rug under her and said, I was your closest ally, but I've been lying to your face, and now I'm coming to tell you.
Actually,
right, if anything, she made the right move and said, you got to go.
So here's what I'll say to put an end to this. Katora, when you see Jack on these streets, you got the green light. Second of all.
People can disagree with me, but I've rarely been wrong about a lot of my calls.
Second of all, can we vote? Did Katora make her best move?
Yes.
Look, and here's where I'll give a little nuance to it. I think it was probably the right move for her, but I just felt like we saw too much of a willingness for her to make the comfortable move. I would have liked to see more of her deliberating, like, the option, and maybe she did do that, but I just felt like she was like, oh, they lied to me. Like, I'm gonna just go with the safe move.
I don't
Maybe
think
it's the right move, but I'm just
I don't think that
I
was
don't
the
think you're
reason
giving
why.
her enough credit. I think that she weighed her options out, and I think that she made that decision because, like, even if she does go with him, then she knows you still working with. Like, I think she
But
eliminated.
I think we have to always remember also that she's a 35-year-old lawyer. So she's 10 years older than a lot of people out there, but they think she's 4 years older. So she still has that
Wow.
she has 35, 36 years of perception where they're still looking at her like she's a late 20.
Yeah, oh my God, I didn't know she was that much older.
I didn't know she was 35. Are you sure?
Oh,
Yes.
She's a decade older than me.
So yes, Brice. So when you look at it from that nuance of her being able to handle conversations, being able to communicate, she is really making a calculated effort to downplay like what she is capable of, unless you can understand. Like, people thought I was 30 out there, 29 out there. So at the end of the day,
Who?
ask them. So end of the day, I feel like she's a lawyer that has been practicing law for a long time, knows how to formulate arguments, and is clocking a lot of things. And she's been right with what she's been saying. Now, people are not listening. That's fine, because they haven't really had to listen right now. And she has time to make moves and time to get brought to the end. And she can say, well, the goal is to get to the end. And I think she can craft the argument, because the arguments are based on how you can read the game, not based on how many moves you make. If you can articulate the game and what's happening, that's what's really, I think, important in the final tribal. That's the final tribal council school. Not being on the right side of the votes. It's like, can you articulate the game and understand the perspective of the other players and present an argument that makes sense to get those votes?
Okay.
I agree, but let's Jackery, let's take us to tribal.
Yeah.
And I just want to reiterate, I'm not trying to write Couture off. All I'm saying is I think she needs to turn it up going forward.
Jack want the blind
Jack
sides.
worried about Couture
No.
pulling up on him in the streets.
No.
People, you guys are just misconstruing what I'm saying.
No. Jack, I'm with you, Jack. I feel like Jack wants to see players take agency and make moves to define their game. Thing about it is there's no incentive to have agency, especially early in this game.
There's always
I agree, but you also have to think about her position and where she's at, right? Like, you can't make a power play when you're at the lower end of the totem pole right now. But
she literally could have, and I'm not even.
But how about that? Okay, all right.
Okay, but we've all agreed that Couture made the right move.
Correct.
Okay. We have two tribals. I think the first one is going to be a little quicker, but just before this, can we talk about Caleb's decision-making process? In hindsight, him deciding to throw out the fact that Bruce has an idol was a bad game move, right?
Well, we talked about
In
it,
hindsight,
but
for sure.
yeah. Well, I go ahead.
At the end of the day, you know everybody voting for you at that point. Like,
what is Caleb's best move in this?
He played it. He played it shine in the dark. That was his best move. Like, you try to find your fractures. You try to find your numbers. At the end of the day, Caleb needed to find 12 people. He needed to find those 6 votes. He didn't have those 6 votes. Like, you can like so when you don't have 6 votes, you're not controlling the vote.
No, all he needed was
4. I'm talking about to say last week, not this week.
And I'm talking about this week. Now,
but that's when he threw out Bruce's idol. Bruce's idol threw out last week.
No, what I'm saying is he snitched on Bruce's idol to Couture today.
Okay.
This is what made Couture be like, oh, y'all played me. I
feel like she was voting him out regardless, because she wasn't going to go to Rocks. But that's
his best move.
I'm just trying to figure out what could Caleb.
His best move was to vote out Couture or Jake. His best move was to go to Reba and say, hey, bro, these Bello folks, they ain't got their stuff together. They trust me. I get you information. I'll work with y'all.
Had he not played his shot in the dark and him, Jake, and Couture voted Mama Tina, who would have went home?
Wait, what?
If he didn't take his shot in the dark and actually voted for Mama Tina,
Couture voted. He did vote. He voted for Julia.
But he took a shot.
This dark last week.
Okay, my bad.
This week, I'm trying to figure out his best move. James says is to go to the Reba people and work against a.
Yeah, you thought about
Reba. But have you forgotten that D is done with him and doesn't want to work with him after the performance?
I completely understand that. The best move is to try to sell D. Like, D, here's the deal. I'm not coming after you. I'm not coming after Julie. I'm not coming after Austin. I really want to work with you. And you're going to need somebody to take out these other Bello folks on the other side. You lost Jay Maya. You may lose Sifu. I can slide in and be that reliable vote because, one, I need you because I have nowhere else to go. Just use me as this vote. And Bruce, I told you about Bruce Idol. I try to be as transparent as possible. And I'm telling you, I'll write down Jake and Katara's name. Just tell me the word, and I'll go chill the rest of the day.
So going to D is a better move than trying to work with a Jake who was on board with him and Katora who he had inroads with already.
You go for the majority numbers.
Yeah, I don't think
it's all right, so you go to Jake's trying to make us do a rock draw, Austin. That's crazy. He really wants to, he says you're like you got juice, you got info. He wants to take you to a rock draw. That's crazy.
Wow.
So I heard that. I heard that. Huh?
So then Austin triangulates that to everybody. And
that's
now
fine. You already at the bottom. You're trying to get 4 votes. That's great.
You feel like you're not considering where his position is, right? And I feel like him coming to that's like him coming to you with that Hail Mary. It kind of, I don't know. I think it just makes him look
appreciate it. If you're in power, you would appreciate that. That's it's a logical move, right? Like at the end of the day, people know Caleb is back's against the wall, right? So my back's against the wall. I gave you this information. I can be a shield. These are all true things. People want to get me out. Like, you're not spitting any lies. Now, that gives D can say no, but maybe hearing it firsthand, laying on the sword, you're killing stuff, D. I want to work with you. Give her the boost up, and maybe it happens. I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying minds change.
Okay, James, that's your version of Caleb's best move in this situation.
Right, that's it.
Jack, what do you think yours is?
Yeah, my move is first and foremost. If I'm Caleb, I go to Katora and I go to Jake and I try to lock in. And I obviously this is easier to say with hindsight. I don't tell Katora about the idol, but I think Jake's logic is correct that Austin is malleable. I think from Austin's perspective, he wants shields, and so if I'm a Caleb, I say, bro, you keep me and Jake in the game, we're shields for you. We both want to work with you. And I have my 3. Then if I'm Caleb, I go to Austin and I say, hey, me, Katora, and Jake are voting for Julie. We are willing to go to Rocks. Look, we don't want you to be vulnerable. So we would like you to join us. We want to work with you. If I'm a Caleb, I say, hey, I don't really have many allies. Like, let me be your shield. And maybe Austin votes with us the first time around. Maybe we have to tie the vote up and kind of strong arm him. But if I can get Jake and Katora on board enough, which I mean for Caleb at this point, those are probably my 2 closest allies. If I can really get them on board to try to get Austin to flip, then I feel decent. Because also, if the expectation is that Austin will flip on the revote, on that revote, if I'm Katora or Jake, I'm kind of hoping that he flips. But if he doesn't flip, then there's not a chance for Katora or Jake to flip. We go to Rocks. Now I'm Caleb. I'm safe. So Rocks is actually a good outcome for Caleb at this point, if you can make that happen. I see the merit in what James is saying, but I think he's burned too many bridges with D and Julie at this point. And I also think if you go to that Reba group and say, hey, I'm down to vote for Jake, what's going to stop them from saying, sure? And then those 3 could still just vote for you, as in Caleb, with no worry about the vote tying. They could still pick whoever they want. So they don't have to get on board with your plan. They could just say yes, and then you're just kind of ditching your closest allies. You got to put stock and faith in your close allies at this point. So
okay, I just wanted to know if Caleb had another option. So thank you, gentlemen, for letting me know. Now, Brice, we're at tribal. The first tribal. What are we at?
Jack, I believe we're at the first tribal.
Yeah, so this is the first tribal. This is with Kelly, Kendra, Bruce, Sifu, Drew, and Emily, who was able to really slip under the radar this episode. And yeah, there's been that debate about getting out Bruce. but he's obviously got an idol, so there's talk about blindsiding him. Drew kind of wants to blindside him, but Kendra's worried about, his vote. If he plays an idol, that vote ricocheting. And Kelly, obviously, I think sees the value in keeping around a Bruce as a shield, as an ally. And so to keep it short and sweet, it's a unanimous vote on Sifu, which I think is the better move for pretty much everyone involved. So
ultimately, you can flush Bruce's idol if you wanted them out. Just put the votes on Bruce. 3-3. I mean, put the pressure on people and make them formally choose sides is something that doesn't happen that much. It's tough, but that's something they could have did to say, yeah, we really want Bruce out. Sifu was going to vote for Bruce. We're putting votes on Bruce. He's catching 3. He burns his idol.
Plays his idol, and what if he catches wind, plays his idol, and votes for like a Kendra?
He's voting for Sifu regardless.
But I think there is somebody to be said that if that actually was the plan, there's a chance he catches wind of it and changes things up.
Don't let him catch a wind of it. You only gotta tell Kelly.
Well,
I'm saying I'm just saying these are like moves that you can make. Like at the end of the day,
sure.
What I'm saying is the 3-3 vote happens. Even if Bruce plays his idol, regardless, it's still 3-3, and Sifu goes on.
Okay.
And everybody knows about Bruce's idol.
But if I just feel like for Kelly, it is the best move to keep Bruce.
Agreed.
And we see that she has the most control probably on this tribe. And so she does the right thing by keeping Bruce. She's able to really subtly kind of convince Kendra that that's the right move, at which point that's the majority. And then once you have that 3, I think it makes sense for Emily and Drew to kind of fall in line with that plan.
Do you think it was a good move for Kendra to go to Bruce and tell her that, we're thinking Sifu? Do you think that raised his alarm more? Or if you haven't talked strategy with this person that we know that Bruce has shared with us, does her going to him make it a little more sus for him to play the idol? Or do you think she needs to go through and tell him something?
I think you want to keep things as normal as possible. If you've been working through an intermediary, you want to continue working through your intermediary. But they haven't voted. That's the thing. Of course you had to talk about a vote. They haven't had a vote. They haven't voted together like that. The Caleb vote doesn't count. They haven't had these tough votes. So they're just learning this stuff now. So
and so one might say that if it's your first time playing Survivor and you haven't ever gone to a vote, then you might not know that you need to. There comes a point when you should be talking strategy with these people. But the way Bruce received that, I was a little questionable about that because it was almost like he was kind of smiling. When she came to him, I just wish his face.
Hey, it's day 14. You hungry? Well, maybe not hungry, but you whatever. You can't. You don't know what's happening out there. You don't know what's happening. So you don't look all like you Wendell. Wendell, you can just look glistening. It's just
you don't
on the beach. You can just be there, and the people oh, Wendell's happy. Everybody don't got that. We look like we look. Bruce got the hair coming in. You know what I'm saying? He out. You know what I'm saying?
Bruce looking like Jeremy.
You know what I'm saying?
He does. The only thing, my one question that triggered me a little bit when Bruce was like, Kendra hasn't come talk to me about the game at all. My question to him was, well, have you talked to the game with her at all?
But Bruce is the older.
Well, Bruce, you gotta come.
But that's the thing. Well, you see what Kelly went to Bruce. This is what's that. He people like to be talked to a certain way, and understanding that is
right,
and catering to that thing is part of the game too.
100%.
So and
how they will receive it.
Right. And that's something Caleb knew. That's something Kelly knows. And it's clear that there are other people that feel like I'm not bending the knee, but it's not really bending the knee. It's really playing the game.
Playing the game.
The last thing I want to say about this Sifu boot is I think this episode, we saw a different side of Sifu that I think they played up a lot of his goofy shenanigans, his Sifu Tai Chi stuff. But we saw him kind of being introspective. And I thought it was good to see that side of Sifu. And so, that's all.
I feel like when you're out there, you just hope you find somebody that you can connect with on you have your person. And sometimes you just by the way that I don't know if he found this person until maybe to merge the way, and sometimes it's based on everybody else being able to click up, and just sometimes you are just left out because other people have stronger bonds. Like, it's like you can't do anything about just natural gravity sometimes. Like, you have to be very deliberate out there. And if Austin and Drew are being Austin and Drew, if Julie and D and J Maya are doing Julie J and J Maya, I mean, you're around, but you can't like force bonds in that way. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's just tough. So I mean, end of the day, I feel like, sometimes that just happens out there, and he almost, I think he maybe could have, possibly, but I feel like the thing about it is he was loyal to Reba. I feel like that was his main game plan, so if I'm a Reba, I may be trying to take out Bruce. Emily, I mean, Bruce is gunning for you. Sifu's voting. You're Drew and Kendra wants him out. Like, this is what blind sides are made for, yo. Kelly.
Drew did talk about that idea, though, which I did think was smart. Drew, I thought played pretty well this episode, all things considered. I think on paper he could have been the clear-cut target. I mean, also, it should be a lesson to players, especially when they do these tribe split-up things. Bring your bag, because this is prime candidacy for him to play that safety without power. And, of course, it didn't actually matter, but I think a lot of instances it would. And we'd be like, dude, just bring your bag to the challenge. Like,
and that's something that I always say. It's like, I know there are many of people out there like Jack and other people that have played these LRGs and that, like, are so smart. But I really think that sometimes when you are out there are variables and there are things that happen that.
No, you bring it back, bro.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
You just gotta bring it.
I'm just saying I'm just saying for the naysayers out there that always like to criticize, like, why would you do that? Like, I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot going on. Like,
it's more things.
There's more to it,
than you actually think, which is why I always side with giving the players grace. Now, Jack, take us over to the other tribe.
And then on the other tribe, Jake still thinks this plan is a go. So we're at tribal.
Maybe Jake's eyes for me though. Jake be like,
he was intense this
time.
It was. He looked like a villain, or like I loved it.
No, he was ready for war, yo. Like that's that Northeast stuff right there.
Dare I say that Boston lad did a little something for me in the tribal. I said, okay, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, so he's still going with this plan. We've kind of touched on everything about it so far. So to make it short and sweet, we get a 4-2 Caleb elimination with Jake voting with Caleb. Caleb's the first member of the jury, and then we also see Jake say, "Julie, it was me. I'll tell you more about it back at camp."
That's not Caleb. Ooh, my bad. I thought that was Caleb.
Very funny. Dag.
I want to know about Jake saying to Julie, "It was me." Is that
I like it.
Is that immediate damage control? Is that immediate, like, I'm stepping up as a man and I'm telling you what's up? Or is it like, what do you think?
I like that. That's a great move. That's a great move. Yeah. You don't have to say anything at camp. It was me. I made the move. Like, that's something Gabler did.
Accountability, like, man up right then and there. You took it on the chin. Man up. Yo, it was me. We could rap about it.
And now. And it helps maybe diffuse some of her, because now they're about to go back to the full group. And so
on a boat ride, she could be pissed.
Well, exactly. Well, yeah, maybe she could think about, if he owns up to it, maybe that'll ease her anger a little bit or whatever. Whereas, because especially given the fact that right now they're in a smaller group, they're going back to the big group. You want to take a step now to make sure when they get back to the full squad, she's like maybe chilled out, ready to talk, instead of being like, "Who voted for me?" And blowing up in front of the camp.
My last thing I will say is about these games. So we look at Katora, right? When she made this move, she went along with the flow, right? I think Drew did the same thing, where the optimal move was to probably keep Sifu and take Bruce out. So I just with regards to understanding and evaluating where Drew had more social capital with having Emily on the tribe and Sifu that he's voted with before, versus Katora, who didn't have as much social capital at the people on her beach. So we're looking at votes. I just say it's just interesting the moves that people make. And the one thing I think sometimes that you have to do when you're in a good position is to take that risk, because you never know when you're going to be in that good of position again, and to keep your foot on the pedal. So we had one person that may have took the foot off the pedal versus someone who kind of just stayed in neutral. It's going to be interesting to see how, at least for me, how those two decisions work for all parties.
That's an interesting observation. I think as the numbers as the numbers dwindle, that's a cool way of looking at it, James, saying, all right, now we have 10, 9, 8, whatever. Did this person make their best move for the game? And understanding it that way, because right now, half of America is mad at Couture for getting out the golden child, Caleb, when in actuality, she made what is probably the best move for her. And yeah, we're mad that this Caleb Obama got voted out, but she made the best move for her. And in this case, looking at a Drew, it's like, bruh, there might have been a better move for you, but you're skating right now because of this insulation that you have.
Well, Drew did consider that option of voting out Bruce, so I actually thought Drew's mindset was pretty decent. What's interesting to me is that in both of these groups, there was sort of a clear-cut majority of 3 from a certain tribe, and I think James touched on this a little bit. They kind of opted to go for that outsider that isn't really in the numbers, like a Sifu or like Caleb.
That's the decision too.
I like a Drew or a Jake.
The question is, do they think they had enough juice to get a Drew? Like, do they feel like they could have went to Sifu to get Drew? They feel like they could have went to Emily to get Drew.
It would have been complicated because obviously that would rely on Bello actually really coming together well. But no, I think that's a testament to those people like a Drew or like a Jake that they're immediately getting pulled in instead of targeted. But I do think it's an interesting element of gameplay in this season where it's like there hasn't been a lot of shot taken yet. It's almost like let's clear out.
Caleb's not a shot. Like Caleb's not a shot. Let's just
exactly. He was sort of an easy vote. Jay Maya was kind of an easy vote. Sifu was kind of an easy vote, and so it's setting us up down the line for like some real conflict. I think because right now it's like, all right, we're clearing out sort of like the
right now everybody's trying to play.
I don't want to say a floater, but yeah, it's like anyone who has any sort of numbers is getting kept in, and that's all going to come to a head at some point. And,
will it? And I think shots are going to be fired, and I think that we are gearing up for this epic battle that Drew and Jake are preparing for, but I feel like it's not going to be the battle that they expect. But what you can expect is that we will return next week to cover episode 8. James, this has been a truly treat and pleasure to have you and Jackery go at it again. We appreciate you. Jack, welcome back to life. It's so good to have you. Wendeezy, take them flip-flops and put them outside. This has been this week's Survivor News.
Yeah.
Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
Dot.